saya Aliskana mengambil tempat untuk bersama-sama dengan tetamu istimewa kita hari ini yang baru saja melaksanakan tugas beliau sebagai Duta Besar Amerika Syarikat ke Malaysia yang baru 6-7 minggu saja berada di sini. Saya perkenalkan kepada anda semua dan hari ini kita nak berkenalan dengan beliau, nak tanya apakah pandangan beliau dan apa yang beliau hasrat ataupun hasrat beliau dalam menjalankan tugas sebagai Duta Besar. Saya perkenalkan kepada anda His Excellency Mr. Paul W. Jones. Good morning to you, sir.
Selamat pagi, Ali.
Selamat pagi.
Apa kabar?
Kabar baik. Yeah, you've been catching up a lot of Malay words.
You know, a little bit so far, but well, I'll be studying some more as I spend some more time.
Great.
Here.
It's been 6 or 7 weeks now.
7 weeks exactly.
All right.
And already the Secretary of State has come, so it's a terrific time.
Something so huge just right after you arrived.
Yeah. Well, she's someone I admire so much. I've known her for 15 years now and worked closely with her in Washington, and it was just so delightful, and she had such a wonderful visit here.
Yes. Okay, what was the first thing that you did once you stepped on Malaysian soil?
The first thing, well, the very next day we went out to the Islamic Art Museum together with my family. I have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old daughter and 10-year-old son.
That's
Alexandra
and
Hale.
Hale.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we went out and we saw that wonderful collection at the beautiful museum. We went to Batu Caves. We went over to Chinatown. We ate some food. You know, my wife is very interested everywhere we go in food and culture, why people eat what they do, when, and what it is. So we got out around the city and started meeting people. We had some astronauts come as part of the American Space, the Space Explorers Congress here. So we had 18 American astronauts come right after we arrived. So we've been having a good time.
Yeah, I heard you walked from the embassy to KLCC, if I'm not mistaken. Was that?
Did you take a walk? We walked all around KLCC. We've been to KLCC and those beautiful environs around it. We went to the bird sanctuary, which is quite remarkable. So, and we've got more plans to do a little bit more around Kuala Lumpur. I've gotten out a little bit in Malaysia as well.
Yeah, great. Yeah. And your first few weeks started off pretty much as a busy person. Secretary of State just arrived and she left yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a good 3-day. Would you mind sharing to the audience about that?
You know, it was her very first visit to Malaysia, which is remarkable. She was First Lady of the United States and now Secretary of State. She's traveled almost everywhere. But she saved Malaysia for this moment. And she had a wonderful visit. She knew a lot about Malaysia before she came. But I think speaking to people here, she was really struck. She was really struck by the multiculturalism, by Malaysia's sort of, as she said, being a thought leader, a country where people are thinking innovative about the role of Islam, about innovation, entrepreneurialism, the environment, role of women. So she was really excited. She had a terrific visit.
And we also enjoyed having her in Malaysia for the first time. She said it was an appetizer for her. She'll be coming back for the full meal.
And she will. I'm sure she will be back.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that you're the ambassador and your experience is pretty vast, and you've been around in the Philippines, in Latin America. So how do you find going about here and there and mixing around people from different ethnic background, different creed and all?
I find it just wonderful. Our reception has been so warm and delightful here. I've gotten out a little bit so far to Penang, where we have a number of U.S. companies. I went to visit them, but also tasted a little of the famous Penang food. Got out to Pahang for the Sultan's 80th birthday, which was a remarkable celebration.
So you've been around.
And then to Sabah as well, briefly.
To Sabah as well?
Yeah, well, I want to, I'll go back, but I wanted to go at least briefly. We work with a number of non-governmental organizations in the environment, supporting the Coral Triangle Initiative and Heart of Borneo, and I wanted to see what U.S. support is doing, and it was really impressive to see the commitment of people to environment, climate change issues out there.
We are now having a good bilateral relationship between Malaysia and America. What would be the next step that you see that will not only strengthen but making it bigger and stronger?
Well, I think a couple of things, and one that was a real theme of Secretary Clinton's visit was education and exchanges. I know the Prime Minister has spoken about how he'd like to bring teachers from America or teaching assistants to help boost the English language capability in particular, but also in areas of health. We just signed a very important agreement with Johns Hopkins University they're going to set up their first medical school outside of the United States here in Malaysia. So there's an area where I think we can do a lot more. There's a desire from our leaders and from our people. But I think also sort of the conversation about the global world. Malaysia is so well positioned to help other countries understand interacting with the whole world. And so I think our people-to-people exchanges are so important in that area. I think there's a lot more we can do there.
Yeah, we have a lot of potential as well. Yeah, and looking at Malaysia being multi-cultural, multi-religious, and a lot of things that we may have what other Asian countries have or may not have. So based on your experience, how is it challenging to be an ambassador for Malaysia? You know, in Malaysia?
As I said once before, the challenges are the fun part.
Yeah.
And the challenges to me are getting our whole embassy, which is, we have 100 Americans here, 200 Malaysian employees, and as much as possible getting everyone out so that we're really interacting with people throughout the country, so that we're all traveling. Now, that's the fun part of the job, but because of, you know, the daily requirements, sometimes we don't do it as much as we ought to. So the challenges are making sure we connect with people across from culture, sports, you know, as well as politics, business. We have the board of directors of the U.S. ASEAN Business Council here right today. I'm going to go right after this and have breakfast with them. So the chairman of Coca-Cola is here. So some big business, and we just need to do as much as we can to connect all that into one story of our relationship, which, as you said, I think is growing.
What about when we talk about Malaysia being a Muslim country, do you find that something, I think you find it not too unfamiliar because you've been around, so how do you see that Malaysia being a Muslim country and you are an ambassador to this country?
Well, I find it as something that is endlessly fascinating, because I think from, you know, I've only been here 7 weeks, but there's a real diversity of views about what it is to be a Muslim majority country. And what that means in areas of sort of society as well as politics and law. And I think all those issues are issues that countries around the world are talking about. And it's a very vibrant conversation here. So I find it really thrilling to be here and to observe that, to be able to report back to Washington and to the American people what's happening here.
You okay with the climate and everything?
I love the climate.
Great.
So I love it.
Yes, and your schedule is going to be very busy right after this, definitely, because you're going off to have a meeting and breakfast as well.
Yeah. And then we also have Secretary Gates, from our Defense Secretary, is also planning to make a visit next week. He very much wants to come back and pay his response. Your Secretary of Defense visited him in Washington, and it's just another element of our relationship that I think is very, very productive.
All right. Yeah. Okay. One big thing just happened a few days ago. Mrs. Clinton came over. So who will be the next big person from the United States who may be dropping by as well?
Well, you know, I think I know where you're going with that question. and I can't make any predictions or commitments. But I think one of my goals for this visit was for Secretary Clinton to be able to go back to Washington and say and explain to people there how positive our relationship is. And I think that certainly is something she's very comfortable doing. And not, as I say, the government-to-government relation is important, but she did this wonderful townterview, as we call it, town hall and interview, where you kindly moderated questions from the floor, and that's where she sort of gets her sense and her energy and her, and she goes back with those impressions to Washington, and she will weave that into all her conversations, what she heard from the people.
Yes, because we always like to have people here, people abroad to feel welcome whenever they come.
She sure did. She felt entirely welcome, and she was impressed also with the Prime Minister's vision of a global movement of moderates. That's something that resonates a lot in the United States. We're also a multicultural country, and we also struggle with the same issues of bringing people together, and the idea that people would speak out, we would empower moderates, is I think one that's very compelling.
Do you see that as something new to America or to the Western world? Because moderation is something that we've been cultivating here in Malaysia, especially. But is it new? Is it foreign to other people outside?
I don't think it's so much foreign as I think it touched when the Prime Minister said that, you know, we've allowed extremists to drown out the rest of the conversation. I think that really resonated. And so I think we need to find ways to promote those moderate voices. I think we have them, you know, in the United States. My father-in-law's apartment in Washington, D.C. looks out onto the beautiful mosque in Washington, D.C. We have that experience. But I think in countries around the world, the more extremist conversations, when we focus on maybe more than really makes sense.
Yes. Okay, finally, since I know you have to rush, what's your hope as the ambassador to Malaysia?
Well, my hope is that we can, you know, in the 1980s, Malaysia sent more exchange students to the United States than any country in the world. We don't necessarily have to go back to that model. But I would like to recreate that sense of people-to-people connection that came from when the Peace Corps was deployed here. My sister was a Peace Corps volunteer in the Philippines nearby. I know what that means to people, and what I hope is that we can come up with programs, government, private sector programs, that really build understanding between our people. So that's what I hope to accomplish.
Yes, that's hope for Malaysians as well. And do you have any plans to go on vacation? Do you have time for that?
I will have time for vacation, and I have plans to go. We have competing debates within our family as to where in Malaysia we're going to go next, but we will get to every part of Malaysia.
And we have a lot of celebration tomorrow. Is Deepavali?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get up early. We're going to go see how people go to the temple and pray. My wife has already put that on our schedule.
Great.
Yeah.
It's good to have
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. To you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Paul Jones, Duta Besar Amerika Syarikat ke Malaysia bersama-sama kita, dan insya-Allah kita akan dapat melihat wajah beliau menjalankan tugas untuk menjalinkan hubungan yang baik antara Amerika Syarikat dan juga Malaysia. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Thank you very much.